Vuoris.
No, mikä
Stora vielä.
Stora bene. Ja on maat saamikielä meitä.
Ei. Saapa leita.
No,
Koutikeinu.
tällä koutakenis. Kalta muista liian shedis nämä.
Furs, mun on malee pidet.
Mun on puolesta on maidal. Mun ikke unne kantaskomi muutkin topp. Norkkaan.
Ja vässän laapui syöttäjäilassa kun klemmet pär ja juodierä tuestili saamelaut ja showket ja Finnmark tuettarin Alaskai. Lei Amerikka ralluus pälkkään tai saamelaut ja velkit Alaskai ja siis leitti vel tjötnar vuojana melte. Famas mätki alahejus New Yorkiin manaitat ja puudessa. Kun sjokta härki jäämi korastiltet ja Atlanter ääpi. New Yorkos jotke mätki röytämäri melte Seattleiin. Kos ofta kaska shadde vuoritit. Kun ostan ollut söden jäljalois, shadda saamelaus pakkuun heitit pohtsuun. Teillä ei puhuta läppä lassana laapui miljoona päällä. Näitä ei kolleroggan kiesuhilai saamelausoi ja suopmasat siis likstuve alle puudessa.
We're going to the national park, Denali now, where you're working.
Yes, it's called Denali National Park and Preserve. So it has a big name.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big park as well. It's a little over 6 million acres in size. And of course is right on the Alaska range. And there's a mountain called Mount McKinley here, which is the highest mountain in North America. It's over 20,200 feet high. So a lot of mountain climbers will come here for climbing the mountain because it's the tallest in North America.
Yeah, I heard about that. So what is your work there?
I work as a park ranger in the park. I deal a lot with subsistence users, people who can hunt and fish and trap in the park still, people who have depended on those resources for a long time. They are given the privilege of continuing to utilize resources that way.
Yeah.
Park boundary begins on this range.
Your mother, has she been telling you about the Sami people?
Yes, she has. Since there's very little written about Laps in Alaska, she's felt like she's needed to write a family history And so she's been trying to save that information about our family and relatives and what their life was like. And she's written a little history on the Sara family in Alaska.
Government? This is Sarah.
And the Spain
Yeah.
markings.
Oh, family tree.
Family tree.
Wow, this is, yeah. This is great.
And this would be my mom.
Yeah. Oh, so you know a lot about your family and your family background.
No, I really don't. It's something I would like to learn more about, and I'm just so happy that you took the time to come and look us up and get a chance to meet some of our relatives. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you have a lot of more back in Norway, so.
Someday we will come and try to visit.
Yeah.
How are we related?
Oh, we are related. Oh, your great-grandmother, she was my great-grandfather's sister. So that's the way we are related.
Oh, good.
I'm Helen Sarah Niemeyer, and one of the descendants of the Niels Pearson Sarah who came over 1898. And I'm just one of the descendants, and part Yupik Eskimo and Sami.
My mother told us stories when we grew up about her Sami heritage and of her father herding reindeer in Alaska, and I found that very fascinating. And when I went to college at the university, I had time to spend to do some research on that, and just found a wealth of information, and found that I was able to learn more about myself by learning more about the Sami people, and also my Eskimo roots too.
You have been self in Kautokeino.
Yes, in the summer of 1984, I went to summer school in Oslo, Norway, and at that time, my parents came over, and we went up to Kautokeino and met some relatives at that point. And, you know, it was our first exposure to Norway and our roots, and for me, it was a real treat to be there with my mother to meet our family.
It was kind of frightening. When we were driving into Kautokeino, I was wondering, well, what am I doing here? I really don't know what I'm looking for. And it's kind of scary because it's not like you. I don't have anyone traveling ahead of me to introduce me. And we really didn't know what to expect, but we're very, very happy to meet the people because everyone was so nice to us. It was nice. We were hoping maybe we can go back and visit sometime.
We're related to the Sara family, which is quite large, of course, and with Clementson on her mother's side, grandmother's side.
Barr. Andrew A. Barr. Liksom dette kaller seg for go the game. Såkast. Ja. Så det visste samma sak alla Nike. Excuse me?
Yes?
Barr, do you know anything about him? Andrew Barr.
That is a relative of my wife.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
So do you
And-
know anything about him?
Well, he was probably the most well-known reindeer herder in Alaska.
Oh.
He herded reindeer for the Lohman brothers in Nome, Alaska. And then he took 3,000 reindeer to to the interior of Canada. He left with 3,000 reindeer and then arrived there with 2,300. That was all that survived. Some of the reindeer went back to Nome. Some of them died. Some of them the wolves got. And that was the best they could do. But that took 5 years.
So he was a well-known person in...
Very well known in Nome, Alaska. And there's a book called 50 Years in Alaska, and it has quite a story on Andy Barr.
Oh.
Or do you, would you call it Bear?
Yeah, bad.
Bear,
Yeah.
yes.
What happened to Andrew Barr after?
Well, I believe after the Canadian trek where he brought all the reindeer over there, he came back to Nome, and then I believe he came to Paulsbo, and then he lived out in a little community called Eglon.
Muhtun saamille haasam Amerikka lahka Seattle City namalasi Paulsbo, Washington. Kuitenkin saami pouta Amerikka muhtui oktage oinu puhtan karasjokas Amerikki. Mi suovasem hahte muhtun nuodra niitä puolese Amerikki. Sitten liittyy både dilli Amerikkas, jos siis ila ruhtaa tammade te challo se jun turnansisi Paulsbo, Washington. Kalson saadde bilähtaruda. Son la presidenta saamin toppe Amerikkas.
Valkuben Seattle-kauppualle ja Paulsboon ammasas keilas, kosa större ossi Amerikka saamit asaiduve. Mieksamira leahte maita iärää tavvirihka jalamuat puhte aitu väänpäihkäi. Tai Amerikka saami jälleen lämaskal alle kirjai. No, myös väsihettisi puatsotuolu ja kolleronkami Alaskas ja vastupohto muhtumat, siis tän legga mäilemai.
I'll get my son. I think Bruce. Now this is my son, Bruce, who owns and runs the store. Originally, we were all together.
From Barrett?
Barrett.
Yeah.
We are from Kautokeino.
All right.
And we are looking for over
Is that way up? Now that's way up.
Okay.
That's where we were in '79.
Didn't Grandma have somebody by the name of Barrett?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. A sister or an aunt or what was that?
She was an aunt.
All right.
Or a cousin, or she was a cousin of, but we also had up there, we had the Bitty family. And Anders Balto was my grandpa.
Yeah.
And
Was Naluka up there?
yeah.
Reindeer guy.
He was one of the leaders. He traveled with the group. This was in '98, and they settled in Alaska. Unalakleet. Yeah.
You know that.
We have been there.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
But anyway, Bruce has 3 stores. He has one in Port Orchard, which is about half an hour away. He has one in Silverdale, which is about 15 minutes away. And he does a tremendous business in the appliances and television.
Maybe he can open one up in Curacao.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we have a lot of fun. That's for sure. Well, how long are you over for?
We have been here 2 weeks or in Alaska, and then we will be here one more week.
All right, that's nice. It's nice if you have good weather.
Too hot. It's too hot.
pretty close to bottom. Drop, raise her up. There's enough current right now that it's picking that jig right now. It's a good way for people.
I'm Pete Naluka, Kingston, born in 26 in Paulsville, to Matthews Naluka and Bertha Naluka, whom Bertha, my mama, is from the Siri family of Karasho. And my father is the Naluka family out of Autakoski. They come to this country, I don't recall the date. They went up to Alaska in regards to reindeer work. And Dad bought the place where I had lived in 29. And then that's where we lived. Well, Dad made the great trek. And we went to school in Paulsville. I didn't graduate in Paulsville, along come World War II. And then I followed the logging trade for a while, and then went to work for the state on the ferry system. And I presently live in Kingston. My brother Hans, he died 2 years ago in California.
Well, my granddad and grandmother, Matthias Turnensis, and my mother, Margaret, came to Paulsbo in 1900. My mother was 1 year old. I went to school there, and I have one living brother. He lives in Port Angeles. I live in Port Angeles. My name is Bill, Wilfred, but Bill to everybody, Wilcox. And I moved from Paulsbo to Port Angeles in 1948, winter of 48. I worked in the machine shop up here for, I think, 2.5 years, and I bought a fishing boat, and 3 fishing boats later, I sold out, and I think that was 86 or 87, so from 51 to 87. Spending time on the Washington coast, mostly, but Alaska, maybe 10 years of that time. And down as far as the California border, such as that. My old boat is now in Petersburg, Alaska. And now I have this little boat, that's my toy, so I can keep fishing. That's about it.
Heritage, I guess it should be called, is from Karasuk, primarily, and somewhat of Autakoski, which is Finnish side. But we predominantly are Karasuk people.
I got 200 feet. So you got to have all that stuff, Pete, to catch fish.
I made one trip back there about 18 years ago to see the people, and was very much surprised and pleased, I should say. I'd like to make another trip, however, I probably never will.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. What fun to ride and sing in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song.
Kiikaga jähkit ottaito saamit lämmas melti alkahemmin Santa Claus vieruihtaat på Amerikas.
Ja, det var jo artig å høre av Niluka at han hadde vært med på den der Santa Claus-historia. For når vi ser at julenissen her hjemme nå kjører med rein, så skriver det seg egentlig fra Amerika. Og der i Amerika, der startet de med denne julenisse, eller Santa Claus som det heter, der ferden gjennom, ja, det var en en businessaffär rätt och slätt som Lommenbröderna satte igång. Och det var alltså de tämte regn som skulle kunna uppträda i trafiken i stora byar och de instruerade då folk som passade på dessa här dyran och de var ute och reste och sånt. Bland annat var en far till Peter Niluka, en av dem, och Peter Niluka var med till forskjellige steder. Och när det inte var i verksamhet med som Santa Claus så hade de regn hemma där hvor de bodde.
Muakti Märtneluka.
Uh-huh.
And Ahti, he died over there at Utiok.
Utsiok,
Yeah.
Ere. Maatko me lämpö saamikiel saanit? Teki saamikielä?
No. Ei mun lihko pakti kuusa.
Ilihko?
Vai vappa.
Tuahti laipok. Tuoppa laipok pohtit. Ja ton ilaven?
Ei mun perus.
Iton peros?
Mu vappa lihko pakti. Mu ahti pakti kuusa. And raise Utakalavi.
Tuahti?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When we lived over there, next door.
Nuvan.
Yeah, but
Nämä här väl musta saami
he
pohtsot. Lätsikö tiis pohtsot?
choppa more for sale.
Ton laavi muore chop ja vuotit. Nuvan. Takas tuoda muore.
Yeah. Oh, bigger yet out.
Kyllä vaarallisesti ja kimana jälleen.
Idiot. Half wolf, and then two the husky and shepherd.
Joo. No tälle stora bena dus.
The
Stora bena, alla stora bena.
he had teeth.
Hettas lään for sale. Hetta jena väytimassi. Noinu läppe polspu laakkusin. Tää muistuaatte muhtunassa saamille toudalpirikin tallutuoluin. Viisali tiksu siitä Vietnami ja nusi tseytse alle puuris täppe.
They settled in Paulsbo. They had a farm. I don't know that they bought all of that property at one time, but they had about 25 acres, part of it on the water like you got here. My granddad he had a few horses that were doing the work, maybe 5 or 6 cows to get the milk and butter and so on. Chickens. It gradually grew to where their son Nels, my uncle, had many thousands of chickens and raised them and raised chicks, sold them statewide. But so it was just a little farm.
Amerikka saami saddetti reivi ja tällä on koovai fulkita. Vai sipessä kulla ja vainit, mutta siinä jällin lei täppä. Vässä ollu jait outako saamispohti fulkit, kuessasta ollat siinä Amerikkas.
Mun finnen kahtsullakin 3. Mä en finään meidän.
Ja keidän päivät on?
No mun päivän Juha Valdemar Hetta. Ja Bill Wilcox. Tälle kyllä kasvuolikit. Tässä on muhtelemälle muun ja Bill. Leikka vuostessa on Belgiakat.
Mä oli täivä folki.
Tällä ei nuu aaret. Tällä ei nuu aaret tapsistele. No. Ja suuhtasta yskeleihin takalle.
There was always this, maybe a feeling of superiority that they had over the Sami. But I think that also changed, you see, in more ways than one. That they'd make a derogatory remark, they'd wake up flat on their back.
You say them. Who are them?
Some of the other people that always talking when they should be listening. There was a lot of that going on. I think a lot of the things that the kids had to say when I was a kid was a parrot of what their parents were saying.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that.
My grandfather was Mikkel Anderson Barr, and he bought this property, I think about 1914. There was 5 acres, and most of it was all trees, and they logged it off and started building small buildings around to raise chickens. This is one left over here, and one here, and there were many others, which are all gone now.
Grandma and Grandpa, they had cattle, they had a horse, and they had chickens, and they would raise vegetables. We'd go fishing for salmon and trout every Friday and Saturday. Grandma'd stay up all night and can that. I used to feel sorry for her.
Mm-hmm. Grandpa, he'd work all week with his chickens, and then every Saturday he'd go to market in Seattle, and he'd take the horse and buggy down to the bottom of the hill with his chickens and eggs and row across the bay to catch the little Verona and into Seattle to the public market. And there he stayed all day, got home late Saturday night.
Maybe you could be our pathfinder here and show other places too.
Oh, yes. What would you like to see now?
Oh, maybe my relatives lived here to dances, so it
Yes.
could be fun. You could show us.
Okay, we'll have to go down below the hill for that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. This way, Carl. But this was the big chicken house in Earl. Yes, this was Nels's feed store, and Nels was the son of Matthias Cornensis. And this was really the kids' place. The kids loved to come down here because Nels always had goodies for them. And
so it's closed.
It's closed. He's out of business.
So you competed him out.
Well, Nels, and you might say that we were friendly competitors.
How?
Now, we didn't set prices or anything like that. Back in those days, business people didn't do that. They would compete. They would sell for as low as they possibly could. But Nels was a good competitor, and I know he took care of his customers. He had a beautiful home right next door, as you can see it, made of solid brick, and it's still standing. But I can remember when that was a thriving concern, that home, you know, as well as this business.
When did he close his business?
I would say that he closed in the 70s, wouldn't you say? Late 70s?
Probably at least.
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Oh, he retired.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he was...
I think that...
His health wasn't that good either,
No.
I don't think, at that time.
Yeah.
And I think he went over to Kautokeino right after that.
Right.
After he retired,
Yeah.
him and Eddie went over for a visit.
Right.
And where is his house? Can you show us?
Okay. It's right over here. This is this brick.
This one?
Yes.
This was where he lived with his wives. He was born in the house that was right down here, right where this one, it burned down 2 years ago, but the family home was there where all the kids were raised.
Where they kept their eggs?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They kept the eggs down in there, and they had a little kind of a grass roof on it, and then stairs went down. And it kept real cool.
Polsku Sami tahto alle lakalai assat. Mä saadisi äänet ja äänet atjipasa tän aamas rikkas. Taadis, kun saajailuvi leikkaa, leisis puerre oktavuotta kaskanäiset.
Well, they have, like any other people, the Sons of Norway, they all get together. Of course, all the Samis belong to the Sons of Norway too, you know. And I mean, the Negroes, they are together, and the Spanish, the Mexicans, everyone seems to be that way. They're trying to be proud of their heritage. That's about what it amounts to.
Jag hade inte hört om Sami för jag studerade norsk på universitetet. Och kanske för 4-5 år sedan när min mor hon sa ja, din bestefar, han är Sami. Han var Sami, kanske. Men föran det var det bara din bestefar var från Norge. Bara från Norge. Jag vet inte var det var I Norge.
I live in Ballard, Washington, part of Seattle, and it's the very Scandinavian part of Seattle. Lots of Laps, lots of different variations of Sami, but mostly Norwegians and Swedes who are from, I guess, would be the southern parts of Sweden and Norway. And one woman was asking me about my Norwegian heritage, and I said, oh, my family is from Kautokeino. And she rolled her eyes back in her head, and she said, oh, Laps. And I said, I think we're nice people. I think we're very good people.
The museum is so happy, that we could host this exhibit, the John Savio exhibit, which shows some of the life up in northern Nordic countries, the Sami life.
It's a treat to be able to be here and see his work. And, I feel like I'm experiencing, what life would have been like had I been out herding, for instance, because you can see the action and the movements, like you're saying, just within his strokes.
Ja, vad vet en vanlig amerikaner om samerna?
Väldigt lite I grund. De vet att the Laplanders, de har alla rein och de bor I tält. Och det är omtrent allt de vet. Och att de bor långt norr. Så det är en stor del upplysning som bör företas. Och jag syns personligt som styremedlem för det Nordiska museet här att det är vår uppgave att kunna ge de upplysningarna till folk I generellt.
Annin tehti tehtyjohkima saamipirraa alkheit ja Amerikka saamit paikki nommasas plaadi. Saami mangis pohtii lohkula otne alle storis tap Amerikkas.
We estimate that there are as many as 30,000 Sami living in America who are the descendants of immigrants from Norway, Sweden and Finland.
Mitä pahuai tai saamin kehtolle ulikke ja sin mangis pohtiin Amerikkas?
Here you have heard that there were many Sami coming from Karasjok and Kautokeino as reindeer herders, and those people have retained their identity to some extent in Alaska and also in the Pacific Northwest. But there were many more Sami who came from the southern area, and they came over as Norwegians, Swedes, and Finns, and they never mentioned that they had Sami heritage. And then when they became assimilated Americans, they became Norwegian Americans, Swedish Americans, and Finnish Americans. And the Sami part of their history was hidden. Well, the descendants of these people who hid their ancestry became very excited to find out that they weren't the only ones in America. And they started to write enthusiastic letters asking, how can we find our families back in the Nordic countries? Can we learn more about the culture? And where can we learn the language? Immediately there was an enthusiastic response. My grandparents were Kari Norfjell and Fredrik Nilsson Norfjell from Røros.
Mihin lämmöstä stuodimus tutnu matkis?
Nää teivät hui ollut ja hui somaa teivät. Tekkä hui purre mielellä ei ollut lämmösen kuin millä teivät. Tällä hui somaa lämmösen.
No, tällä lämmös nog lokka teivät ollut ja tuolla ei fommaa tappi missä lää folki. Tällä ja tappi lää saamit.
Leipoo toivon, että naullu saami päässä teivät Alaskas ja läpi Polspuossa ja Seattle-Govus.
No, mun kalinen toivotan, mun toivon tälle mihän onni, mutta tällä hui sama fommaa tätä kauluihin ja tälkeen ämpö kuin mun toivon.